Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the MR2 project. Today me and Jonathan are going to be working on lowering the MR2. It's on coilovers. It's been at this ride height for at least a couple of years now, and I finally decided that it's time to get this thing lowered down and looking kind of mean and good. So what we got to do is we have to roll the fenders though. I think the fronts are okay, but the rears are already rubbing on super big dips and stuff on the highway. So we're just going to roll the arch on the top in the rear, I think. With a fender roller that I borrowed from a friend, and then we're going to lower the suspension and get it looking good. So let's get to that, and I'm going to show you how it looks from the side before we begin, and then I'll give you a good shot of how it looks in the end so you can get a good before and after kind of visualization of the lowering as best as we can do. Okay, so to begin, we're going to jack up the rear and roll the rear fender wheel wells up top, and then lower the suspension. But to start, we're going to take a measurement here to see where the body sits relative to the ground. And the reason we're going to do this at first is so that if we turn the coil over, say 10 turns of the collar, we can then put the car back down on the ground and measure it and say, okay, 10 turns equaled, you know, a quarter of an inch or whatever. So baseline measurement with the tape measure lined up on the ground with the center of the wheel into the wheel well, and with my head more or less level to everything, we're looking like right on the money, depends on where you hold your head, but approximately 25 inches, maybe a touch less. It may be 24 7/8, but 25 is pretty much good enough. So we're going to go with that as our baseline measurement on the rear. Let's go ahead and measure the fronts too the same way. Well, we've got everything all just sitting here unmessed with. Okay, if you can straighten that up a little bit, you kind of got to lean on it. You tilt it back this way, son. Okay, there we go. And so we had 25 on the rear, and on the front we've got 24 and just over a half, 24 and a half, a fat 24 and a half. Okay, 25 and 24 and a half will be our baseline. So we found a fun little mud dauber's nest here on top of my tire. The car sat here long enough that they built a nest. And inside a mud dauber's nest, they put spiders. So I hope the camera will show, but there's about 1 million spiders in here, and they sting them. So these spiders are not dead, believe it or not. They are just paralyzed. You can see them still moving a little bit when I touch them. They're soft, but they're paralyzed, and then they lay their babies inside this case, and then the babies wake up eventually and they eat these spiders, and that's their first meal. And it's really gross. Anyway. Alright, so Jonathan's putting on the wheel well, or the wheel roller tool. And it's been a long time since I've done this, and he's kind of done it before, but not really. So we've got to figure out what's going to happen here. So I can already see the problem, Jonathan, is it's hitting these. So I don't know if we're going to have to take the spacer off to even do this, or if we can just use it without taking it off.
It has a little bit of grab, but I'm not sure if it'd be enough to hold it.
It looks like it could probably work. Let's try it and see. You definitely want to be coming at this lip at the right angle and not a super stiff angle. It almost seems like the whole thing's too long. Not sure what kind of adjustment it's really got, but I feel like we need to be coming at, I feel like the whole thing needs to come down. I don't think that's going to do it either. I think this one's got to go down. Do you think it even does it that way? Alright, so the plan now is to use the heat gun and very carefully warm up the paint right here along the fender lip where we're going to roll, so that hopefully we don't get a crack in the paint right here. I'd be pretty devastated if we crack that. But we'll deal with it if we do. So we're going to heat that up nice and warm, and then we're going to we got the roller dialed in here, by the way. This is the settings that worked for the MR2 in case you're doing an MR2 and want to know. That's how it looks and how it wants to sit, and then basically we're just going to roll it back and forth like this, and then as that lip folds under, we'll crank in on this dial here, and it'll pull this out, and then we'll roll it and pull it out and roll it and pull it out and so forth. So now we're gonna get it warm. Still rolling here, so. Know if it's moving.
Yeah. You might need to heat it up.
Just don't get very close. It does get too hot. Maybe you want to compare it to the other side of the thing, because we may be going farther than we realize. Going long ways.
Yeah.
I wish. Oh, we can change the angle of the head, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just loosen this thing up.
Okay. I think we're ready to do that because I don't want to move the outside edge out.
Yeah.
And I think we're about ready to accidentally do that. Dang, that's pretty damn good. Might ought to just stop. I think that's actually good. Okay guys, so that was it. That's all it took to roll the fender on the MR2. We think enough to do what we're trying to do. I don't know if I can get you up in here, but this is how the lip looks now. Oh, that's pretty bad footage, sorry. That's not much better. Sorry, I can't really get that, but anyway, the lip actually goes up at an angle upwards towards the body of the car instead of kind of flat like the other side. So anyway, pretty quick little 10-minute roll. About as easy as they come. This is what the other side looks like. The lip actually is not even horizontal. It actually goes down. You probably can't tell, but it actually goes down a little bit. So we've taken the other side up to horizontal and then beyond horizontal up to that way. So anyway, we're going to do that to the other side, and then we're going to start doing some suspension adjustments and get her sitting nice and low. Okay guys, so we didn't really show it, sorry, we'll show the next one, but we cranked the coilovers 5 turns on both sides in the rear, and we're just now taking a look at it. To me, it doesn't look like we lowered it any, and to the tape measure, we didn't lower it any. Hardly. Wait, we go down a little bit? We went down only 1/4 of an inch? That's hard to believe. I wonder if we should roll the car back and forward. Sometimes that'll change things with the camber. So we might roll the car back and then roll it forward and measure again. Alright guys, so it took a couple of adjustments, but I think we got rear ride height set where we want it. We're down almost a full inch right there, and I think it's going to clear everything on bumps, but we really don't know until we drive it and find out. But we have went from 25 down to basically 24, as you can see there, and there's our mud dauber friend looking for his home. I feel kind of bad about that. But anyway, so we've dropped the car a full inch, and it's sitting pretty good. It's a little tight right here where the mud dauber is. Where this screw is, I'm concerned about hitting there, and I'm concerned about hitting a little bit on this screw here, but we won't know until we drive it. but it's looking way, way better. So now we're going to drop the front and get rid of that gap up there. Alright guys, so that wraps it up on the MR2 for today. We got the rear lowered about 1 inch and the front lowered about 1/2 inch, I think was the final measurements or so. And I don't know if you guys can tell because the before video or picture was inside the shop and I couldn't get a perfect angle, and I'm sorry about that, but from the outside and the after effect of it is really, really good. This sucker looks so much just more exotic and low and long. It made the car look a lot longer and I don't know, a little bit NSX like you might say because of the height and the length, but it looks really good. I just took it for a test drive with my buddy Jose, and it definitely rubs at all four corners, but it's rubbing on some plastic parts, it's rubbing on some a fender liner in the front and a trim piece in the rear. So I'm probably going to click up the shocks a little bit, make them a little stiffer, see if that helps, and otherwise I might just let all the plastic that's rubbing just kind of self-clearance and take care of itself, because the tire is harder than the plastic, so I'm not concerned about cutting a tire and having a blowout or anything. I'm just eating away at some plastic pieces. It's rubbing, I'll just show you right here if you can see it, right there on the plastic bumper, and inside here on this plastic trim piece is where it's rubbing on both sides rear, and then on the front it's just rubbing on the inner fender liner. As you can imagine, there's a ridge right up in here and it's just catching that on bumps, so it'll probably wear a hole through those over time. That's the normal thing that happens. Not really a big deal. It's not going to cause any kind of problems or anything, so might just let that happen until it's done rubbing through, and then it won't rub anymore. But it handles really good. I think it handles better than it did before for sure, and more flat and stable in the corners, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, all in all, this was a successful Saturday afternoon Father's Day weekend project. Car's looking better than ever, and appreciate you guys for following along on a little project here. Give me a thumbs up if you like this project and this car. We're going to be doing more with this car in the future and all the other cars in the shop. And we haven't forgot about the 240. If you have been following along the 240, you may be wondering what's up with that. I'm still working on the exhaust system for it, and it's coming along nicely. It's almost done. Here's one part of the Y pipe. I got to weld this up and then weld it on the car. The other half of the Y pipe is already done. So that's the update on the 240. And then I just got to remount the fuel filter. And then this car is ready to test drive with the new T56 and the new clutch. So we just converted this from an automatic to a manual. So that's what's up with that. But anyway, guys, give me a sub if you're down for what I'm doing here. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one.